Still more unknowns.
Alexander Carey.
Sensing something there?
Yeah, I'm trying to find our friend again. He's a young soldier. Jasper, here he is. Yeah.
I was thinking he's on the other side of the journey.
And the other one's down there on the other end.
You spoken with Jasper?
Yes. Jasper took a liking to her last time we were here, and it was funny. She picked up Jasper when we got around the corner where that stand was.
Right.
And it was funny, there was a bunch of us here, and I stopped right at this spot, and I just stood here. And she didn't catch it at first. She almost walked right past and said, "Where are you going?" And then she caught it, and her face just went blank.
Wow.
Anywhere by your buddy?
Fireflies are out.
Who's walking over there by themselves right now? No, to your right. Jasper, come closer, buddy.
Jasper. Can you talk to me? Jasper. Can you talk to me?
This is where they got the voices
Okay.
and the flashlight. We got the flashlight and some voices in here. A lady named Rachel died in the bedroom. There was several voices here, but the predominant one was Nate. And then there was a child that passed by that said, "Hello."
Just went, hey. Just,
And I have walked up the stairs, been pushed down the stairs all the way to the door, almost went through the door. I stood in the living room in the center of that great big giant square table
Right.
to be able to reach the ceiling fan come flying
Oh, Lord.
off out of the middle of the middle.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the edge, but you can see you can't reach it from
Right.
there. I'm in the middle to reach it. Next thing I know, I am flat on my back over here on the floor.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm hard.
Yeah, so
I mean,
you
I
felt the push
slammed
and-
it. I mean, I feel things around me. I mean, I can sense. I have precognitive dreams. I
Okay.
can.
So you'll have precognition of something that's coming up.
The children kind of, the little black girl, she comes out and peeks from the kitchen a lot.
yeah, she likes to peek around right here.
Yeah.
I thought I've seen that before. But
Yeah.
She's from a really long time ago. You can tell how she's dressed and what she looks like and her hair.
Did you have a bonnet or anything? Or just
No,
little-
she had the little bitty. It's like she barely had any hair,
Okay.
and it was tight little
Okay, little.
like, I don't know if you call it a braid or like the little balls. It's a little black girl. You know
Okay.
how they would do the things like that, and it would look like just little. It not
Right,
long
just-
braids,
yeah.
just like a little bump of hair,
Mhm.
you know, all
Yeah.
over. Rest of the children stay back this way, and you can hear them running and
Running through.
playing and
Yeah, when I was in that
laughing
room or
and-
in the den, you hear somebody coming down the hall and nobody shows up. You hear them plain as day coming down the hallway and nobody comes in the room.
Is this Nate? Is this Nate? Seven, are you still here with us? Seven, are you still here with us? Are you scared to tell me who you are? Are you scared to tell me who you are? I don't want you to be frightened of me. I don't want you to be frightened of me.
Is there someone in the room with us? Is there someone in the room with us?
Tell me who you are. Tell me who you are.
Who's keeping y'all from talking to us? Who's keeping y'all from talking to us? Could you please repeat that? Could you please repeat that?
Yes, I am wise human eat. Yes, I am wise.
Was it in this room that y'all heard something about why the humans eat, or
No,
was back?
it was in the kids' room and it said, why did human eat? Teresa's like, are you calling me fat? I'm like, I'm the biggest one in here. You shut up.
No? No volunteers? All right, well, I'll do it then.
I'll
Okay,
try.
got one? All right.
Somebody's
Okay,
willing
go
to.
for it. I want you to just tell us who's buried here?
John A. Bell.
Okay, now come over here and look at this.
Can't hear you.
John Bell.
God, I'm breaking down.
John A. Bell.
No?
R. Bell.
John R. Bell.
Yeah.
What did it say on the other side?
A.
So John R. Bell on one side, John A. is because there's two people buried here. Now, can you read the epitaph? This one's kind of hard, so. No?
No murder hath eternal life, abiding in him.
No murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Okay, that's great. You did good. That's kind of an interesting epitaph. And the reason it says that is because these two men, father and son, died in a shootout downtown in Cahaba with everybody watching. It was John R. Bell and his two sons. One of them survived the shootout. And on the other side were in-laws, the Birds, Hunters, and Troys. One of these men was actually shot in the back, but the other side was exonerated in a court of law. And I think their mother and the wife didn't agree with that verdict, and that's why she put this thing about no murder hath eternal life. She felt they were murderers. But in doing the historical research, I think the townspeople were just fed up with the Bells. The Bells ran the big tavern in town. There was trouble. They were in the middle of it. The Methodist minister called the two sons the devil's most available instrument. And the reason he said that is because they would do things like during Sunday sermon, right outside the Methodist church door, they would bring one of their slaves and beat them outside the church. Yeah. So they didn't fit in real well with the rest of the people in town. So that's the kind of people they were. And what led to this shootout was they had a slave by the name of Pleasant or Plez, and they put him up into stealing keys. You know, back in those days, they had those great big old keys, and you couldn't really put them on a keychain. They were too big. So when the merchants opened the doors, they'd leave the key in the lock. And they had Plez go around and pull that key out when no one was looking, bring it back to him, and then a few days later, they would let themselves in, steal everything out of the store or the home, and then sometimes commit arson to cover up the fact that they had been there. But the townspeople were catching on, and that's what led to this disagreement and shootout in the streets. So that's the history behind it. Now the rest of what I want to tell you is my personal ghost story, sort of. I'm a historical archaeologist. I'm kind of a scientist, so I don't want to believe in any of this. But when something happens, you really have to think twice about it. What happened to me was back in the 1980s when I first came here. Edie, you remember when I showed up here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think you might have had something to do with this, now that I think about it. It was a paranormal team from Tennessee. And this is before, you know, now there's all these paranormal shows. Have any of you seen them on TV?
Yeah.
You know, we all know about that. But back in the 80s, we really hadn't heard about these people. So I was a little suspicious. So I wasn't about to let them down here by themselves. So I came out here and stayed with them all night to keep an eye on them, because I just didn't know. So what they were doing was what we now all know is called EVPs. Or I guess, do you all know what EVP is?
Electronic
EVP?
voice phenomena.
Exactly. And that means what? You play this tape recorder, and then when you play it back, you get voices on the tape. You didn't hear them, but they're on the tape, right? They're supposedly from the spirits. Now, way back, probably before you were even around, in the 1980s, we didn't have digital recorders. We had reel-to-reel. There was actual tape.